85 years old, ailing but active, with indefatigable energy and compassion. A lawyer by training, a one-time president of the Scavengers Union, hailed Abhay Sadhak by Gandhi. His work has healed the lives of tens of thousands of victims of leprosy. Today he lives campaigning for the tribals on the banks of the Narmada River, fondly called Baba. Baba, can you describe for us that cold, rainy night when you saw the first victim of leprosy?
While I was serving latrines in a posh locality of Baroda, where night soil basket was on my head, I was carrying it to the bullock cart where the night soil tanker was there. I came across a living corpse in a gutter. I went near and I found that he was still breathing. I had done service to 40 latrines, but I had never seen such maggots, which I saw crawling on his face, on his fingers. He had no toes left, no fingers left to show where it aches, where it hurts. But those maggots created fear in me. I said, Manavi Pindaki Vishtha, the night sir, the man is on my head. There is no nausea, I am not afraid of it, but I am afraid of the man who has no eyes left, no limbs left. Only 2 holes are there at the base of the nose. So, with a view to give a pseudo consolation to my fear, I took out a bamboo mattress from a mud wall of it, kept the night soil basket on the, and then covered him, consoling myself that, oh, at least I have protected him from whatever rains above. And I moved. I came back. I became so restless. I say, even Rashtrapita Bapu was wrong in calling me Abhay Sadhak when I fought with British soldiers, with robbers,
to protect this woman.
Everybody, yes. You know. A fearless man, he said. But I was afraid of the man, this Tulsi Ram, was a living corpse. Then I condemned myself. I became so restless, I stopped everything. Going to the court, going to the municipal committee, resigned. And then immediately I said I want to go to Calcutta School of Tropical Medicine to know the truth about leprosy. And they said, you are not even a compounder, you might be a lawyer, and what will you be, advocate? We don't admit you. Then Vinobaji interfered, and our health minister was, I remember Rajkumari was there then, gave me permission to Calcutta School of Tropical Medicine.
You're ailing, you're 85 years old. What is it that drives you and moves you?
I lean on my inner strength, and that inner strength wills something for the good of others. It is good to get, but better to give. That is. Then I said on one Christmas night, I cannot carry the mighty load of his cross, but can I not attempt to walk in the shadow of that cross? I am trying to walk in the shadow of that cross.
What has been the real achievement of your work in leprosy?
It's not the question of achievement.
Joy, satisfaction.
Yeah, satisfaction and sense of fulfillment.
What has been the sense of fulfillment?
Sense of fulfillment that even these leprosy patients who are most unwanted men in the world, I had to carry a placard all over the world and saying wanted leprosy patients. I told them, you have one mouth but you have 2 hands. Joint movement is there. You are walking all alone right from the birth of the globe, right from the biblical period. You are dead to this world but alive in the kingdom of God. That's what all the religions said about you. But let us try to walk together. And in Anand, they started walking together. And all sorts of words rhyme from womb to tomb. हिंदी में जैसे मैंने कहा, देवकी का पाना दूध का जल गया, लेकिन यशोदा मैया ने संभाल किया. तो यशोदा मैया की खोज करते करते मैं नर्मदा किनारे पहुंच गया.
From womb to tomb.
Yes.
What do you offer them in Anandvan?
We call that, we don't call it orphanage. Children literally thrown in that dustbin. Presuming that the baby is dead, carrying it on the carrier of the bicycle, they were given tender and affectionate care and warmth. These buildings, this achievement is a different thing. Saving when life like this, when progeny like this, is a far greater thing.
The empowering thing in Anandvan is not just the healing that you have done to the victims of leprosy, but what you have done to their personalities, the manner in which they have been empowered to sort of transcend themselves. What are some of the elements of your strategy in
make a new awareness in them. I told them, charity destroys, work builds. And then they started working together. They said, no, it should not be a leprosy home. They themselves named it a forest of joy, forest of bliss. Now the whole world is proclaiming from housetop that the joy in Anandvan is much more infectious than the disease in Anandvan. This is not what I am saying, but this is right. Diplomats, prime ministers, presidents, all have said unanimously that the joy in Anandvan is much more infectious than the disease in Anandvan.
You've been working with the tribals and the people affected by the Narmada Dam, and you now live in Kasrawar on the banks of the Narmada River and have been living there for almost a decade. What prompted you to move out of the community of Anandvan that you had built, and you had completed this Knit India March in 1985 at the time when the problem in Punjab were at its peak? But you seem to have settled your agenda on behalf of the tribal people.
Yes, because I found the plight of the tribals more horrible than the plight of my leprosy patients. All over the world, from every housetop, all leprologists and leprosy workers started shouting that leprosy, like any other disease, perfectly curable, not hereditary. Even the deliberate attempts of inoculation miserably failed. And then I found out that there is no need for Baba Amte after having spent more than 4 decades at one place. But the tribals of India were not organized ones, especially in Bihar. I was so much moved. Bihar, carrying the world's best geological blessings, the people of Bihar in Calcutta, in Punjab, they were living like half animal and half man, pulling rickshaws like animals. Even in ashram schools of Nagaland and Mizoram and Arunachal. Can you believe that tribals are from Bihar are used for cleaning utensils, for fuel, for servicing latrines? They are also tribal, but they are English-speaking tribals. I was very much moved.
What is it in human nature that encourages us, or that we see fellow man as being different from us in some ways?
Because they have never experienced the fellowship of man. The political parties, and it is certain so-called religions, they use them for their own cause.
Do you have faith that the political system in India can deliver, that it will deliver ultimately?
It's not the political system which will deliver it. All these political parties get material from below. If we tackle that material properly, otherwise this no solid, no fat milk, even if it put on the nuclear fire, it won't give any cream or it won't give any malai. Similarly, if our education goes on like this only in the schools, whether they are the best schools or they are career-making schools, those who are called best schools.
So what would be a good school?
Good school which makes a man to understand the needs before they are born in his fellow being. And such schools do exist. Tukarams and Kabirs and all these, they were not graduates or PhDs from Cambridge and Oxford. They were uneducated literates. We are, I'm afraid, men like Baba Amte are educated illiterates. The wisdom was with them. And that's why I said, intellectual is he who avoids, escapes, and evades. You can't argue truth like this. There is no cesarean for taking out truth. Truth has some incubation period also. If you tell these things to the youth, they cultivate the virtue of patience. They are very restless. But at times that restlessness becomes the index of progress.
Do you think the youth of India have responded to the challenge of people like you?
I am very hopeful about this. Besides the wars which they were fought by our Chinese war, 3 wars with Pakistan, they were fought by the youths of this country. Their dresses are not of khadi or the thing, they were jean pant wears, they were all these things. But I have full faith in their...
When you travel and when you look around you in India, aren't you despairing at the young in India, the loss of traditional values, the grabbing for materialism? Many of the things that you have stood for and worked to promote in your life seem to be discredited and unfashionable.
If you go in the interior of India, I have combed the whole nation, right from the Kanyakumari to Kashmir and from Chinese border Arunachal to Okha, and I found out certain groups working with dedication, devotion, determination, vision, passion, compassion. They don't wear khadi, they don't wear charkha. They are far better Gandhians than the Gandhians which I saw during my era. I don't know whether they believe in God or not, but they believe that the young man should not tolerate this obscene poverty, disparity, ignorance, and samarpit jivan jisko thi. They completely surrender their will. I don't know whether to God or whether to this, but they scuttle their career, and I become very hopeful.
Would you say that the strategies of development that we have followed in India have really been strategies that have encouraged the kind of attitudes and the value systems that you talk about? Capitalism is based on the premise of ever increasing wants, of cultivating perhaps non-existent needs. And so you're there campaigning against the Narmada Dam and the effect it will have on the tribals. Isn't that a crisis of the development model we have chosen?
That's why I say Narmada Bachao Andolan is not a movement for stopping the dam alone or caring for the dam. In short, it's a movement for changing lifestyle in the world. Because the whole world is going after consumerism, after careerism. This movement, we have won the battle, we may lose the war. I'm not worrying about that. It's not the question of losing the war. If defeated people don't surrender, they are the most victorious people in the language of the warriors.
Do you feel that the Narmada Bachao Andolan and the process is now more or less defeated, that it's a lost cause?
I don't say they are defeated. Only tomorrow you will see thousands of people from different parts of the country to show the token protest, not against the Supreme Court judgment, but against the government, which even supplied false affidavits to the Supreme Court. Government servants, I never imagined in this country that people will give even false affidavits and then confess when they were garroted by the tribals and said, give us land. And the land was on the paper. The land which was available was already occupied by other people for the last 25 years. And then they said, to be frank, under political pressure, duress, we gave irregular affidavits, that means false affidavits.
Do you feel then that the effort of the Andolan is now really to secure the rights of the tribals as best you can, rather than being able to stop the dam in any way?
I think it has given them a new awareness. Forget whether the dam will be conserved or not. Dignity, For last 10 years, 12 years, they are fighting the whole thing. And then, even coming from Badwani and coming from Madhya Pradesh, from Valley of Narmada, going to Bombay on foot and then entertaining themselves at Bombay station and coming to lodge the protest. Different parts of the tribals from different parts of the country, those who are not resettled and rehabilitated properly, they are also coming here.
Baba, you've described what's happening to the tribals as cultural ethnocide. What do you mean by that?
Cultural ethnocide? What is there now? Hindus have Hinduized them, the tribals. Christians are also in the beginning, they had a message to convert them. Now they don't believe in this conversion or the thing, but they had. Their position was judged by their number of conversions. Yogi Committee reports frankly says it. But today, if you see the situation, you'll see that new awareness has taken place among the tribals. They feel that they must organize. Hunger for land is such that they are prepared to run even the cooperatives. I am very hopeful about this, whether big dams are stopped or not. But the IMF and World Bank, they realize that big dams are irrelevant in the 21st century.
This is the 50th anniversary just behind us of India's independence. You have lived through this process of independence and the emergence of a new nation. It seems predominantly to be a time of personal despair for people on their inheritance. How do you feel that the inheritance of independence has worked itself out for India?
I am very happy about the achievement which is during these 50 years. Certain good things have taken place.
What are some of the good things that have taken place?
For example, I don't see tribals and poor people and my participations eating mawa flowers and only wild fruits, killing animals and eating all this, because they are not left now. Anything that moved, they consumed. Now they know that environmental degradation is not in their interest. They will be kings of the forest, which will not give them anything.
You're living on the banks of the Narmada, and each year the level of the water rises. You have said that you will not move the next time the water rises, and it's predicted that this year when the water rises, it will engulf your home on the banks of the river.
In 94, government officers, collectors and SDMs had come in cars at 4 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock in the evening. But at 2:30 in the midnight, we were removed from our veranda by the police in a fisherman's canoe in a lock. All around there was water. Not even my wife was allowed to sit in my canoe. She in another one, myself in my driver in third one. Let's take this. We never said that we are taking Jal Samadhi. We said we are lying here. You have opened the 19 gates of Badgi Dam, which is near Jabalpur. I read the news on the radio because there is no electricity in the rainy season.
What will you do this year?
I will remain in my own house. I know it's not this majority as in law called wrath of God. It's a man-made deluge which submerges people, their lands, their houses, their cattle, their everything. I will be in my cottage as usual because it has seen so many floods during these 10 years. But when they release the gates of big dams, when they construct bridges and they raise the height of the dam, then there is possibility. I will be there again, my wife, my everything. Our cattle, our other friends, those who don't believe in the movement, we remove them. My wife, myself, we stay there. And this year also we intend to stay there.
So what dreams now do you have for yourself? You've worked on so many different agendas at different parts of your life. 85, what dreams do you now have?
I said, Yuva Sangharsha Vahini. I had never heard that farmers started committing suicide because the cotton crops are very bad. But American farmers came to me and they said, this year in America also, and they came in the company of Arun Gandhi, grandson of Bapu. I said, look here, what your technology has done. Here in my neighborhood, there is a short staple cotton. It's an illegal act, he has sown it. I gave them my address, go to Andhra, and they went to Andhra. They found out old ladies and young girls spinning short cotton, staple cotton, 110 counts yarn. So immediately the eminent engineers, textile engineers who were with them, they say our machinery has failed. We could not spin from short cotton, staple cotton, fine yarn. So we went to the agriculture department and said, discover, find out, make research, H4, hybrid cotton, other things. And hybrid cotton means heavy doses of fertilizer. Heavy doses of fertilizer means crops become very susceptible to diseases, and it's another thing.
Baba, you have a long, and you're 85 years young, you have a long and active life ahead of you. But what epitaph, how would you like people to describe you? Say, Baba Amte, here was a man who did what? Who was he?
They feel that he is a man whose deeds follow his words. I don't go out, I don't speak on the loudspeaker. People come and I talk to them. My deeds are in the company of good words, and my good words in the company of good deeds too. And on the banks of Narmada, I said to Narmada Maiya that you know my pain, penury, my loneliness. But I also tell you that I love you because I see my behoshi, my unmad, my samarpan in your jivan pravaha, in your stream. That gives me more peace.
Thank you.